Everyone needs compassion, a love that's never failing. Let mercy fall on me. Everyone needs forgiveness, the kindness of the Savior, the hope of nations. Savior.
This is Chariot. Hello, good evening once again, and welcome to Apologetic Hour on Chariot TV. Tonight, Ampaya Eja and Samwoho, we have a lot to discuss, we have a lot to talk about, we have a lot for you to know, a lot for me to learn, and we are here live in the studios of Chariot TV. A brother is here with me. He's going to help us discuss a whole lot of things on our Apologetic Hour on Chariot TV. So he is someone you already know. If you have been watching our programs, you know Brother Dominic Amposa. He's the one you see on your screen right now. He is a Christian apologist, and he is well versed in Islam and all the things that you need to know. Tonight, we would like to discuss the concept of warfare in Islam. And brother, welcome to the studio.
Thanks so much for the opportunity to be here to share what I know with the world.
Good. So on today's show, we're going to go deeper into the concept of warfare. We know the whole lot that are said about Islam when it comes to warfare.
Okay.
And there are lots that I may say we know, but may not have the facts to really back what we know or what we hear about Islam. So tonight, we want to spend time with you to discuss some of the things that we know in Islam. And when we say warfare in itself, what does it mean?
When we say warfare, it's about war. War, like fighting.
Okay.
Yes, that's warfare.
Okay. And does the Quran say anything about it?
Yeah, the Quran talks about warfare or war, as well as the Bible. The Bible also talks about war.
War, okay.
The Christians have a concept of warfare, and Muslims also have a concept of warfare.
Okay.
Yes. And in Christianity, the Christian concept of warfare is the use of arguments. The use of argument to advance the cause of Christ.
More like trying to persuade with words.
Persuade unbelievers to accept the message of Christianity.
Okay.
Using argument and polemics. Yeah, so let's turn our Bible to the book of 2 Corinthians.
2 Corinthians.
Chapter number 10.
2 Corinthians chapter 10.
Verse number 4 to 6.
Verse 4 says, For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal,
yes,
but mighty in God for pulling down strongholds.
So for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. So the Christian concept of warfare is not carnal.
Meaning it's not physical.
It's not physical. So
Okay.
Christian talks about we are going to fight. Let's fight. Let's fight. It's not about physical fighting.
Oh, okay. So Paul said that I have fought a good fight. It was not like he was in the ring fighting somebody. Really?
No.
But
So it's not carnal.
Okay.
But mighty in God for pulling down strongholds. That is strongholds. Doctrines, arguments,
Teachings.
polemics that are against Christianity. Christians are to fight these ideologies.
Okay.
Using what? Polemics. Using
Arguments, like
using teachings.
Okay.
Persuasions, sermons. So this is the Christian concept of what? Warfare.
Preaching.
Preaching.
Oh.
Exposition of the text.
Okay. Oh,
So
I see.
when you talk of warfare in Christianity, we are not talking of something physical. Something physical. If you study church history, in the medieval age, around 1096, Christians in Europe decided to go and fight the Muslims,
Okay.
who have then taken over the Holy Land,
Okay.
Palestine. This series of warfare are what is known as the Crusade.
Yes.
Crusade, so Crusaders.
Yeah.
But if we examine what those so-called Christians did in light of the Christian concept of warfare, you can see that what they did is far, far, far removed from the New Testament concept of what? Warfare.
So the people, I mean, historically, those who fought in the crusade were not really doing what the Bible teaches.
Concerning how to expand Christianity.
So there was a time that Christians were physically fighting.
Yes, because at that time, we know Christianity was born from the east.
Okay.
Jerusalem, Antioch, Constantinople, Alexandria, all these Christian lands, all these were Christian nations or Christian lands.
Yeah.
And Muslims have taken over all these cities.
Oh, okay.
So today, if you look at the world today, Christianity was born in the east, but today
Christianity has moved to the west, to Africa, and all that.
Christianity don't have any say in the east again. Even in Africa, majority of Africa is Islam. North Africa all used to be Christian-dominated countries.
Yes.
Alexandria, Egypt, Algeria, Tunisia, all those Christians, all those countries were strong Christian nations or countries in the ancient and the medieval period or world. But Islam took over all those places, of which we are going to, of which I'm going to show to you today.
Okay.
So the Christians in Europe in the Middle Ages were angered. Why should we allow the Muslims to take over all these Christian lands? The Holy Land where Jesus even stepped, where Jesus came, he died, the various centers where the Christians did their things. So who want to even go on pilgrimage to those lands can't go there because of the Muslims. So they decided to go and fight the Muslims so that they can take over the Holy Land. And this wars were what was termed as what? Crusade.
Oh, okay.
Crusade. And those who fought were known as the Crusaders.
I see.
But what they did, judging it from the New Testament perspective, is anti-Christian. It's anti-Christian. It's anti-Christian. So that was what they did. But as I have said, the Christian concept of warfare is not carnal. So if we continue with 2 Corinthians 10, it says, verse 5 says, casting down arguments and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, bringing every thought into captivity to the obedience of Christ. So you see, pulling down argument, casting down argument, and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of what? Christ. Or the knowledge of God. So Christians have a warfare, but this warfare is not physical or carnal. It is something spiritual. And Apostle Paul also said in the book of Ephesians, chapter number 5, Ephesians chapter number 6 rather, 6 verse number 12, Ephesians 6:12.
Ephesians chapter 6 verse 12 reads, it says, for we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places.
We do not wrestle
Against flesh and blood. In other words, we are not fighting human beings.
Human beings.
We are not fighting a physical fight.
Yes. So the Christians have a war. Christians are to fight, but this fighting is not physical against flesh and blood. So what these so-called Christians did in the medieval world, around 1096, that was the time the first crusade was fought. Yeah.
So what they did was wrong.
And that first crusade, they captured the city of Jerusalem from the Muslims. Because by then, Muslims were controlling Jerusalem.
Okay.
They hijacked the city and built the dome of the rock on where Solomon's temple was. And that is where they have their mosque today. The Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem right now.
Oh, okay.
The Muslims captured the city and built that mosque there as a sign of triumph of Islam over Judaism and Christianity. And the Christians were very angry. Why should Islam take over our city? Let's go fight and take over our city. And that is where we have the first crusade in 1096.
Okay.
So they captured the city of Jerusalem and took over. And they killed a lot of Muslims, and even they also killed some Jews as well. But what those so-called Christians did, anti-Christian, judging from the New Testament perspective. So Christians are warfare, or we have a war, but this war is not in flesh and blood. It's spiritual.
Wow, I see. And so let me quickly move on and then ask you, did Muhammad go to war during his time?
Yes, Muhammad actually went to war, several wars.
Really?
Several wars. But we have about 3 major wars that Muhammad actually had. There are some wars that he commanded, but he actually didn't partake. He commanded the soldiers.
Okay.
He commanded his soldiers to go take over so many lands. The Christian lands, Jewish land, they conquered so many empires at that time. So Muhammad actually went to war during his lifetime. We have about 3 wars. We have Battle of Badr, the Battle of Uhud, then you have Battle of Trench. The Battle of Badr was fought in the 624.
Okay.
624, Battle of Badr.
624.
Yeah.
That's even before 1,000 years.
Yeah, that Muhammad claimed to be the prophet of Allah in the year 610.
610, okay.
So 610 is where he started. So from the year 610 up to 622, he was in Makkah. And he was being persecuted. So in the year 622, he moved from Makkah to Medina.
Okay.
But at that time, Medina was not called Medina. Medina was called Yathrib.
Yathrib.
And that it was a city that was being inhabited by Jews.
Okay.
So from 610 up to 622, how many years?
That's
610 to 622.
22. That's about
12 years.
12 years.
So the 12-year period, for the first 12 years, Muhammad was in Mecca. Then from 622, he moved from what? Mecca to
22. That would be 16. That's 8 years actually. From 612.
No, 610.
610
to 622.
to 622.
Yeah.
Okay, that's 12 years.
12 years. So from 622, he moved from what? Mecca to where? Yathrib.
Yathrib, okay.
He later conquered Medina, Yathrib, and changed the name of the city to Medina, which means city of the prophets.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So Medina means
so the original name of the city was Yathrib.
Yathrib.
Yeah. Jews were inhabiting that land. There were 3 Jewish tribes on that land: Banu Kanuka, Banu Nador, then Banu Qurayza. He drove or exiled 2 of the tribes from the land, Banu Nador and Banu Kanuka. He exiled them from the land, and one of the tribes, the last tribe, that's Banu Qurayza, he beheaded about 800 of their men and sold their wives or shared their wives and children and property to the Muslim soldiers. And then they changed the name of the city from Yathrib to Medina, which means city of the prophets. So from 622 up to 632, when he died, Islam moved from what? Mecca to where? Medina.
Okay.
Yeah. So Muhammad actually went to war. So 2 years after the Hijrah, this movement of the Muslims from Mecca to Medina or Yathrib in the year 622 is what is called Hijrah, the Hijrah.
Oh, okay.
It's what is being called Hijrah.
So these facts, where do we get them?
Oh, they are in Islamic history. If you read the Hadith, if you read the Syrian literatures, if you read most of the Islamic books that have been written by Islamic scholars, they are there. So these are not stories that we are making it. Christians are making
up. Okay.
They are there. You can go to the internet. You have a lot of Islamic websites that you can go. You learn all those things. Even in this Quran, if you read the preface, they have provided some of this information there about Islam. So these stories are from Islamic sources and not from
Christian sources,
anti-Islamic sources.
Okay.
So Muhammad fought the Battle of Badr in the year 624. Then in the year 625, he fought the Battle of Uhud. And then the year 627, he fought the Battle of Trench. So these are the three major wars that Muhammad fought at his time. Then in the year 630, he conquered the city of Makkah, where he has initially been persecuted. Muhammad gathered a lot of soldiers. Then in the year 630, he and his soldiers went and conquered the city. Actually, the Americans, because of the huge number of Muhammad's soldiers, the soldiers that Muhammad was having at that time, the Americans actually submitted. They never even attempted fighting with the Muslims. So they just surrounded.
So those people were not Muslims initially?
No, they were not Muslims. They were pagans. Some of them were pagans. Majority of them were pagans. Some of them were Jews. Some of them were also Christians. But when Muhammad got more military strength, he sent, in fact, he conquered all those people into accepting Islam. So Muhammad actually went to war.
I see.
Unlike Jesus, who never went to war in his lifetime.
Yeah.
Because Jesus said something in John 18, verse 36.
Yeah, that's mine.
John 18, verse number 36. John 18, 36. Jesus
36 says, sorry, I'm reading from Luke. John 18,
verse number 36.
Verse 36 says that Jesus answered, my kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, my servant would fight.
Yes, my kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom is of this world, my servant would fight. So Jesus forbade his followers from fighting to spread his kingdom. Unlike Muhammad, who engaged in wars, several wars, to advance Islam. When he got more military strength, Prophet Muhammad will write a letter and send it to a king or an emperor of a kingdom. Accept Islam and see. He actually wrote this letter to one king, one Byzantine king, King Heraclius, in the year 629. He wrote this letter to the king, Emperor Heraclius, accept Islam and be saved. When the emperor got this letter, he became so furious and he torn the letter. Then the next year, Muhammad and his soldiers went and defeated the king.
His kingdom.
Yeah. We call this the Battle of Muta in the year around 630. About 10,000 Muslim soldiers, they went and they defeated the Byzantine Empire at that time. They defeated that emperor and they took over that terrain. So Muhammad actually was a man of war. He fought so many wars.
I see. So he's a prophet he's believed to be a prophet who engage in physical fighting.
And let's read some passages in the Hadith and in the Quran to show that Prophet Muhammad actually commanded Muslims to fight. And actually he was a man of war. Surah 9:29.
Surah
9:29.
29 says that fight among the people of the book who believe neither in God nor in the last day, nor hold as lawful what God and his messenger have declared to be unlawful, or follow the true religion until they pay the tax willingly and agree to submit.
Agree to submit. Fight those who believe not in Allah. Katilu ladina la yuminuna billahi. This is what Arabic says. Katilu ladina la yuminuna billahi. Fight those who do not believe in Allah. That is the katilu, fight. So this is not persuasion. Some Muslims, some westernized Muslims, or some liberal Muslims, or extreme liberal Muslims will try to run away from the import of this passage by saying that the fighting here is not physical, but the fighting is sometimes you have to persuade them. But you see, the passage, the context of this passage,
the context doesn't really say that.
Fight those who believe not in Allah. Katilu ladina la yuminuna billahi. Some people also accept that yes, this passage is talking about warfare, physical fighting, but you see, this passage is defensive. It's a defensive warfare. It was actually a warfare that Muslims engage in to defend themselves. But you see, this passage is not a defensive warfare. It's actually an offensive warfare.
Offensive warfare.
Where you are to fight some people because of their beliefs.
Yes.
The things that they are doing. They do not accept Islam. They do not accept Muhammad as Allah's prophet. They do not do those things that Muhammad and Allah has forbidden. Therefore, you have to fight them, and to until they pay a certain tax.
Yeah, that's what I was about to.
That tax is known as the jizya. When Muslims conquer a nation, the conquered people have to pay some tax. In Arabic, jizya.
So it's more like the normal old stories that we used to hear in
schools, that
when
royalties,
like when a kingdom is able to conquer another kingdom, that conquered kingdom
have to pay
we're supposed to pay taxes to
yes, else they will be put to death. So that payment is a sign that you
are surrendering.
You have surrendered yourself to them, and you have been humiliated by them.
He says that fight those who fight those from among the people of the book.
So fight those from among the people of the book. This a new translation, but this Yusuf Ali translation, the popular is a translation in the Islamic world is fight those who believe not in Allah, nor the last day, nor hold that forbidden, which has been forbidden by Allah and His Messenger, nor acknowledge the religion of truth, even if they are of the people of the whole book. That is the people of the book. I hope you understand. That is Jews and Christians. Ahl al-Kitab.
Okay. So those who.
That's why Muslims have a lot of animosity towards Jews and Christians. That's why we don't see Christianity in most of the Islamic countries. We virtually have no Christian churches over there. The Christians, the few Christians there, most of them are hiding. They don't publicly express their faith.
Okay.
You are not allowed to even put up churches or even convert people, preach the gospel, even sell Bible, import Bible to those countries, like some countries like Saudi Arabia, Iran, Egypt, Libya, Afghanistan, Azerbaijan, Pakistan, those kind of countries, hardcore Islamic countries. You dare not. The Christians we have there are even treated as second-class citizens. Yes. Because according to Islam, these two religions, Islam and Christianity, Judaism and Christianity, they are all kafirs, or they because of their faith. Christians are deified. Christians are worshiping Christ. Jews are also doing some things that Islam abhors. So they are not true people. So the Muslims have to silence them. That is why in all Islamic countries, Christianity, we have this kind of anti-Semitism, hatred against the Jews, and anti-Christian ideologies. We also read in the Hadith what Prophet Muhammad said concerning warfare. Sahih Bukhari, volume 1, book 2, number 24. This is what Prophet Muhammad said. Narrator Ibn Omar, Allah's apostle, may peace be upon him, said, I have been ordered by Allah to fight against the people until they testified that none has the right to be worshipped but Allah, and that Muhammad is Allah's apostle, may peace be upon him. So Prophet Muhammad said that he has been ordered to fight people until they all testify that none has the right to be worshipped but Allah, and Muhammad is Allah's apostle. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. So that's the agenda. He has been commanded to fight. That's why ISIS, Boko Haram, Al-Qaeda, Hezbollah, Al-Shabaab, Taliban, Hamas, all these Islamic terrorist organizations are there in the world. They are all there to pursue this agenda of Islam, of the Prophet, this sunnah of the Prophet, that Islam, Muslims have to fight. All people to for all of them to accept Islam. And we have about 2.4 billion Christians. Those who see themselves as Christians, you have about 2.4 billion people in the world today who see themselves as Christians, and all these people don't believe in Muhammad as Allah's prophet. Jews, we have Hindus, we have Shintos, so many people in the world today who do not accept Muhammad as Allah's prophet, Allah's prophet. And Muslims are actually tasked in the Quran to ensure that Islam dominates. Islam triumphs over all these religious ideologies, and the whole world become an Islamic world.
Oh, okay.
And this is what I actually stated in the Quran, Surah 9, Ayah 33. Surah 9, Ayah 33 says, "It is He, Allah, who has sent His messenger Muhammad with guidance and the religion of truth, Islam, to proclaim it over all religion." The Arabic says, "Huwa alladhi arsala rasulahu bil huda wa dinil haqi." Huwa alladhi arsala rasulahu. It is He who has sent His messenger Muhammad with guidance and the religion of truth, Islam, to proclaim it over all religion. So that's the agenda of Islam.
I see. So, like,
you can read your translation for us to also.
Well, I'm okay. I mean, it's almost the same thing. And so the point is that when it comes to warfare, where Christians think that it is a spiritual thing, it is something that we don't do physical, we don't share blood and all that.
Yes.
In Islam, it's different.
It's different. You have to fight physically to advance the cause of Allah, to ensure that Islam take over the whole world, as it is stated in the Quran, Surah 9, Ayah 33, then Surah 48, Ayah 29. Islam has dominated the whole world. The whole world must accept Muhammad as Allah's prophet. The whole world must accept Islam as the only religion for mankind.
So my point is, this is basically maybe during the time of Muhammad. So after the death of Muhammad, how did Islam, expand to this level?
This is a very great question, because you can see that Islam came in the 7th century, around 10 to 632. That's the lifetime of Muhammad. But you can see that it has spread so fast.
Yeah,
it has spread so fast. North Africa, almost
the bigger part of
Middle East.
Yes, that's the bigger part of Asia.
Yeah, is dominated by Islam.
Yeah,
Then North
and
Africa,
now even in America and in
UK,
Europe, it is really spreading.
So how come Islam spread so fast? Like you read the Bible, you see things like Antioch, Syria, Caesarea Philippi, Cyprus, all these lands. Christian missionaries went there and preached Christ.
Yeah.
Ethiopia, the Ethiopian Enoch.
Yeah.
Alexandria, Egypt.
Egypt and all that. Libya.
Chapter 2, and where are all those people? Where did all these people? Where did all of them go? How come all these places have become Muslim countries?
So maybe because it's
because of what happened after the death of Muhammad.
Okay.
Actually, as I said, if the passage that you have read, Muhammad said that he had been ordered in Sahih Bukhari 1 book 2 number 24. That in the Quran he said Islam has to dominate all over the world. It is He, Allah, who has sent His messenger Muhammad with guidance and the religion of truth, Islam, to make it prevail over all religion. So Islam has to dominate the whole world. The whole world must accept Islam, must accept Muhammad as Allah's prophet, must accept the Quran as the whole world constitution. So after the death of Muhammad, we came to have what we called caliphate. Caliphate simply means Islamic empires.
Okay.
And we had about 4 major Islamic empires.
Really?
And it is the empire that actually caused the spread of Islam.
Okay.
First Islamic empire is known as the Rashidun Caliphate. Rashidun Caliphate.
Rashidun.
Caliphates.
Okay.
The Rashidun Caliphate spanned from the year 632 when Muhammad died up to the year 661. 632 to 661.
About 29.
This span of time is what we know as the Rashidun Caliphate. This is the period of the first 4 caliphs of Islam. Caliph Abu Bakr, Caliph Umar, Caliph Uthman, then Caliph Ali. The period of these 4 caliphs of Islam, the first 4 successors.
So what's the meaning of the caliph?
Caliph means successor.
Successor, okay.
And caliphate is like empire.
Empire, okay.
Yes. So Caliph Abu Bakr, Caliph Umar, Caliph Uthman, Caliph Ali, these 4 caliphs actually spread the tentacles of what? Islam in many parts.
Okay.
And in fact, among these 4 caliphs, the one that actually caused the spread of Islam is Caliph Umar. Caliph Umar. They declared so many violent jihad against almost all the Christian nations. All the Christian nations. So in the year 637, Caliph Umar and his Muslim soldiers captured the city of Jerusalem. They captured Jerusalem in the year 637.
Oh, okay.
And they started building the Dome of the Rock, where the Al-Aqsa Mosque, where we have this kind of thing over there in Jerusalem today. That's why today they are fighting with the Jews. And Muslims were angry when Trump moved the capital of Israel from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Yeah. So Muslims conquered Jerusalem 637. And it is in Jerusalem that we had the Church of Christ. The Church of Christ, or the Christian church, actually started in the city of Jerusalem. And they actually conquered our city.
Okay.
Where our church was born. Where the Christian church was born in the year 637. Then in the city where we had the name Christian for the followers of Christ, that is Antioch. Muslims captured the city also in 636.
Okay, that's a short period.
Yes. I intentionally started with Jerusalem because that is where Christianity started. So 637, that's Jerusalem. Then 636, Antioch. And Antioch, they changed the name. They conquered the city, then they changed the name Antioch from Antioch to Antakya.
Oh, okay.
So you go to Turkey today, and they have Antakya. That is Antioch.
Antioch, okay.
Then in the year 1453, 1453, in church history, you see that Constantine established a certain city known as Constantinople, which is also known as New Rome. Muslims conquered this city in the year 1453. Okay. Also through jihad. Led by one Mehmed, one Muslim general known as Mehmed. He conquered this city in the year 1453. Then when they conquered this city, Constantinople, they changed the name Constantinople to Istanbul in Turkey today. So the Istanbul we have in Turkey today was the ancient Constantinople.
Oh, okay.
The city that was built by Emperor Constantine. And Constantinople was the center of Eastern Christianity for over 1,000 years. Then in the year 640, they also conquered the Christian city known as Alexandria. Where they did the Septuagint translation, where they translated the Septuagint. The translation of the Hebrew Bible into the Greek language by the 70 scholars.
That's somewhere
to around 250 BC. The Muslims, jihadists, led by Caliph Umar, conquered Alexandria in the year 640.
Okay.
And wherever they conquered, they imposed Islam over the people. They murdered a lot of people. They changed their language. That's why North Africa, they were speaking, the North Africa, the Christians over there were speaking a language known as Coptic.
Coptic, okay.
A Coptic language, this language virtually died. They imposed the Arabic culture on them, it's the Muslim culture on them, and they changed everything. So, Jerusalem, Antioch, Constantinople, Alexandria, and Rome. These were the 5 key centers of ancient Christianity.
Okay.
Muslims have been able to capture 4 of these cities. Jerusalem, Antioch, Constantinople, and Alexandria.
Yeah.
It is Rome that the Muslims were not able to capture. So that's how Islam spread. So we have the Rashidun Caliphate. That is from 632 to 661.
So it was more like an imposition. So they capture you through war. And then these Christians have been told not to fight physically.
Yeah.
And so if you are not fighting physically, we are coming to fight you.
Fight you physically.
And so if we are able to conquer you, then we force you
to accept
our faith.
Yes. If you read church history, it's very sad. If you read how Islam took over all those lands, it's very, very sad. Like you see in Constantinople, this emperor known as Emperor Justinian, this emperor built this finest cathedral for Christ, he named it Hagia Sophia. That's the Church of the Holy Wisdom.
Okay.
I hope if you have been listening to the news now, you heard that the Turkish president has now turned that ancient Christian church into a mosque, and it became a headline in the news recently. Yeah, it was a Christian cathedral built by Emperor Justinian, and he built that church in honor of Jesus Christ, known as Holy Wisdom, Hagia Sophia.
Yes, I saw in the news recently.
Yeah, Hagia Sophia.
Yeah.
Hagia Sophia.
On CNN.
So the Muslims, when the Muslims captured Constantinople in 1453, Mehmed, that Muslim general, turned that Christian church into a mosque. And it's very furious, like changing Istanbul Church of Christ Auditorium to a mosque. Very furious. It angered the Christians, but they have been conquered by the Muslims, so they have no say. And this will still happen. You go to Europe and they are turning a lot of churches into mosques.
Yeah.
Because people are becoming atheists. Christianity is dying over there in the UK and many parts of Europe. So very sad. So we have the Rashidun Caliphate. And after the Rashidun Caliphate, another caliphate came known as the Umayyad Caliphate. The Umayyad Caliphate also spanned from 661 to 750. That's the period of the Umayyad Caliphate. And all these caliphs, the Islamic Caliphate, engaged in jihad against Christian nations, Damascus, Syria, Baghdad, in Iraq, all those lands. They took over, they killed the Christians, and because once Muslims conquer you become second-class citizen.
Yeah.
There are so many right Muslims enjoy that and so many people were forced to become Muslims.
Because if you don't come, you don't have right to do certain things. Okay.
And after the Umayyad Caliphate from 661 to 750, we came to have the third caliphate known as Abbasid Caliphate. From 750 to 1258.
Okay.
750 to 1258. The Abbasid Caliphate.
Period of about 500 years.
Very long time. And from the Abbasid Caliphate, we also came to have one caliphate in Egypt known as the Fatimid Caliphate. The Fatimid Caliphate ruled from 909 to 1171. Okay. That's the Fatimid Caliphate. That's how come Egypt has become a Muslim nation, because of all these Islamic empires. Then the last Islamic empire that came to have was the Ottoman Empire. Or the Ottoman Caliphate. Okay. Established by Osman the First. Okay. Osman the First. Actually, the name Ottoman comes from the Muslim name for Osman. That's Uthman. Uthman. Okay. And then we came to have the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire or the Ottoman Caliphate also ruled from 1001 to 1924. After the First World War. Oh, okay. So they ruled for a longer period of time. And that empire also defeated Eastern Christianity. That's the eastern side of Christianity. It's when the Roman Empire fell in 476 AD. It was actually the western side that fell. That's Rome. It is actually the western part of the empire that fell. But the eastern part, which is Constantinople, didn't fall.
Yeah.
The western side of the empire was Latin. That became the center for Latin Christianity.
Yeah.
And the eastern side of the empire became the center for Greek Christianity. That's the Greek Orthodox Church.
Yeah.
And the Roman Catholic Church. So the Ottoman Empire actually defeated Eastern Christianity. That's why most of the eastern parts, Turkey, Cyprus, all those places became Islamic countries. So all the 7 churches that we read about in the book of Revelation,
all those places are
Philadelphia, then Pergamos, Thyatira, they were all in Asia Minor.
Yeah.
Asia Minor is what has become Turkey today.
Yeah.
And all these places have become Islamic territories. It's very, very sad. Very, very sad.
I see.
So that's how Islam spread.
I see.
And today, they are still spreading. They are using jihad, they are using political influences, so many things to spread, and so sad today.
Well said. I think that if you're watching us, this is Chariot TV, and probably you might have a lot of questions to ask on this, but I will entreat you to go into history and read some of these things deeper and deeper as our brother is trying to help us. But quickly, let me ask you that in Surah 2, ayah 256, that is Quran chapter 2, verse 256, it says that there is no compulsion in religion. So the Quran is telling us that you don't force people into religion. So doesn't it show that Islam is a religion of peace, and that it is, I mean, you are just quoting some passage that talks about war and all that, but this passage talks about peace. So doesn't it show that Islam is a religion of peace?
Yeah, let me actually give you another passage to add to what you have just quoted. That's Surah 109 verse 6. Lakum dinakum waliya din. Surah 106 verse number 106. I think Surah 109, sorry. Surah 109, that's Surah Al-Kafirun.
Surah 109
verse number 6.
Verse 6 says, you have your religion and I have mine.
So to you be your religion and to be mine. So Muslims will capitalize on these passages to convince people that have no knowledge in Islam, people that have not even read the Quran, have ever
read the Quran.
People that have even the Quran, they will use it to convince you that Islam stands for peace. And what these jihadist people, so-called Muslims, are doing is something that is against the teaching of what? Islam. And they are using this, and they are gaining a lot of followers in the Western world, especially USA, UK, where people don't like learning, research. People don't have any interest in religious discussion. Muslims are using these so-called peaceful verses to actually suppress a lot of people. And they have used these verses to suppress a lot of politicians in the United States. So you talk about Islam, and they see you are trying to create, and you hate Muslims.
Yeah.
My brother, these two passages were recited by Prophet Muhammad when Islam was in minority. When Muslims were in minority.
Where they were not dominating.
Yes, when Muhammad has no influence. So the Islamic faith actually has two stages. We have stage 1 and stage 2. Stage 1 is when Islam is in minority, when Muslims are few in any country. Over there they pretend, Islam stands for peace.
So take yours and
let us take yours. So Muhammad actually recited this to the pagans in Mecca. When he started his religion in Mecca, the pagans were many. So worship your false gods, worship your pagans, and I also worship my Allah. To you be your religion, and to me mine. let there be no compulsion in religion. La ikraha fi din. That is in Arabic. La ikraha fi din.
Don't force me to come and worship your God.
Yeah, let there
Allow
be
me.
no compulsion in religion. Therefore, you don't have to force somebody to follow your religion. Don't force somebody to accept Islam. This is how Muhammad preached when he started Islam at first in Makkah, when he was in minority, when the Muslims were very few. And this is what Muslims are doing in every country. Islam is in minority. Oh, we like democracy, freedom of speech, freedom of worship. That's stage one of Islam. But you can't go and quote these passages in Saudi Arabia that to you be your religion and to me mine, so that I'm going to establish Church of Christ in Saudi Arabia, Riyadh or Makkah. They will behead you. You can't say, oh, because Quran says let there be no compulsion in religion. If let there be no compulsion in religion, why don't we have Christian church? Why are Christians not recognized in Saudi Arabia or in Iran? The few Christians we have there are Christians who are hiding.
Yeah.
Iraq.
And so the whole idea is that when they think that they don't have the power to do things and that they fear those who are in majority, then they will tell you that we are here
for
to
peace.
do our own thing. So let us do our thing and then do your own.
Yours.
Then when they start dominating, then they will tell you that no.
When they outnumber you, they will show you their true character.
Well, and
So when Muhammad started Islam in Makkah, he tolerated paganism. He tolerated the Christians. He tolerated everybody. Like Muslims are doing in most of the Christian-dominated like Ghana. Christianity is about 70%. Islam is around 25%. So they are in minority. So Ghana, they like democracy, freedom of worship. You can speak against anybody and they will tolerate you. You can even live Islam. You can convert a Muslim and they will not make any noise. But in those countries, when Islam move from stage 1 to stage 2, that is when they become majority. In any country, they try to impose their belief system on everybody. And those who resist are put to death or are treated as second-class citizens. So these two passages were recited by Muhammad when Islam was in minority. But when Islam became the majority religion in Mecca and Medina, Muhammad recited Quran chapter 9 verse 29. Fight those who do not believe in what? Allah. Fight those who do not believe in what? Allah.
I see.
So the stage 2 of Islam is what we see in Saudi Arabia, Iran,
and other places
Pakistan,
where,
Azerbaijan.
but don't you think that in actual sense it is people who are extremists who really go, I mean, like you rightly said, there are some what do you call, some people who have come into Islam and they are maybe liberal, and so they do not take some of these passages to their actual context, which has to do with fighting and beheading people and killing people, but they try to, you know, look at the liberal part of it and how best they can live peacefully with people.
Yeah, it is like what we have in this Christianity. Some people want to make the Christian message so simple. So they try to liberalize the message of the Bible. We have the same thing in Islam. And in Islam, those people are actually not much attention. Islam actually hates liberalism. That's why you see Muslims condemning and even killing their own Muslim when he tried to change the meaning of a Quranic passage. We have one Islamic guy known as Salman Rushdie. Oh no, this Islamic scholar known as Rashid Khalifa. Rashid Khalifa. He actually wrote a Quran. He translated a Quran, and this man argued that the last two verses of Quran chapter 9, the last two verses of Quran chapter 9 are not supposed to be part of the Quran. And he actually made his translation of the Quran. And that man was actually murdered by Muslims for saying that some verses of the Quran are not supposed to be in the Quran. He was actually murdered. They issued a fatwa. If fatwa is like legal rule, they issued a fatwa that they should anybody that when anybody see this man, they should put him to the, because he has insulted Islam. So in Islamic country, you speak against the prophet, they say blasphemy, you have to be put to death. It's not like Christianity that somebody can say. We have people like Abraham Ben Moshe, a country like Ghana where we have Christians in majority.
And you say anything about
Abraham Ben Moshe can go and sit on the radio, insult Jesus Christ. Jesus is a mate. He never existed. He can never do that to Muhammad.
In Islamic countries.
In Islamic country, even in countries where we have Muslims in majority, to even speak against the prophets, you will be put to death. Even in Ghana here, let Abraham try and speak against Prophet Muhammad. You see what will happen to him. You have been insulting Christianity. You have been insulting Jesus Christ. Jesus is a mate. Let him do the same thing to Islam. You see what will happen to him.
But wouldn't someone say that Jesus also talked about war in Mark chapter 10 verse 34?
So brother, let me finish what I'm trying to say here. So what I'm trying to say here is is that Islam has two stages. Stage one of Islam is when Islam is a minority. Stage one, Islam is so peaceful. Worship your God, let us also worship your God. Be a Christian, let us also be Muslims. So those passages that Muslims quote to deceive people, like Surah 2:256, Surah 109 verse 6, La ikraha fi din, let there be no compulsion in religion, were actually stated or recited by the Prophet when Muslims were a minority. But when Muslims become majority in any country, those verses no longer work. Now Islam has to dominate in politics. So in Ghana here, one day in the future, when Muslims, the Muslim population outgrows the Christian population, we will one day hear people calling for Sharia. Democracy is not good. Let's now go for Sharia. And under the Sharia, there's no freedom of worship. That's why you go to Nigeria, even a country where we have democracy, you go to northern Nigeria, you have Sharia courts. And if you have heard in the news, a certain musician has been sentenced to death for allegedly insulting Prophet Muhammad in one of his songs.
Oh, I see. In
northern Nigeria, a Sharia court in Kano, Nigeria, have sentenced this man to death. And there's nothing they can, they will kill him. They'll put him to death. So that is these are the two stages
in Islam.
Stage one and stage two.
And so, like, if somebody, like some people who are in minority when it comes to countries where Islam is not really dominating, then those who are in will understand the Quran to be this way.
Yeah,
but when the Islam dominates, then you have the extremists coming.
It's not the extremists. You see, the so-called peaceful Muslims that we have are all doing so because of where they find themselves. Because Islam is in minority, so they have to pretend.
Really?
They have to pretend.
But I have good friends who are in Muslims who don't.
We call that one takia. We call that one takia. Either they don't know or they don't want to tell you the truth. And Islam actually, the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet actually teaches Muslims to be that way. We call it takia, lying to defend Islam. When you meet the kafirs, don't tell them about this. Tell them that Islam is so beautiful, Islam is so kind. And once they accept it and we become more than them, then we show them how it looks like. So Islam, you enter Islam, but there's no way out. Because according to the Sunnah of the Prophet, anyone that leaves Islam should be put to death.
Really?
Yes. In the hadith, one of the hadiths, I don't have the reference now, but in the hadith, Prophet Muhammad taught that those who leave Islam should be put to death. So I agree that we have some Muslims who actually hate those kind of things. But those Muslims are not true Muslims in light of the Quran. Because the Quran, according to the Quran, this is how Muslims are supposed to behave. But we have, just like in Christianity, we have some Christians who don't care about certain things in the Bible. The same way you have in Islam, you have some Muslims who actually don't care about some of these things. But There is no way a person will read the Quran and want to be a faithful Muslim, and a person will say that I don't actually support those that these people are doing. So what we are having in Ghana here, most of them are takia. They have actually pretended that we are all one. But once they become majority, you see the trace of Islam.
I see. Then let's come to my last question, which I raised, that wouldn't it be the same? Wouldn't people say that, well, it's in the same sense that Jesus said, you should bring your sword, and I did not come with I don't bring peace or something like that, but I brought sword and all that, in Mark chapter 10 verse 30.
Let's actually read that passage. That's Matthew chapter 10. It's one of the passages Muslims
Matthew chapter 10, sorry,
normally quote when you speak on the subject of warfare, that Islam is a religion that teaches people to fight or kill other people because of their faith. And they will quote this passage to show that Jesus also taught that.
Yes.
So let's read the passage.
Verse 30, Matthew chapter 10, verse 30 says, do not think that I came to bring peace on earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword.
So Jesus said, the quote, Jesus also said, you are saying Muhammad said we should fight and kill people. Jesus also said that I did not bring peace, but he brought what?
Sword.
So
almost the same thing.
Almost the same thing. We have about 5 minutes. Okay. So almost the same thing. So you see, this verse is taken out of context. Do not think that
I brought peace to the earth.
I brought peace, but sword rather. So the question is, who is going to use the sword, and against who? The next verse answers this question.
The next verse says that, for I have come to set a man against his father, a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. Verse 36, and a man's enemies will be those of his own household. He who loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he who loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me.
So a person's enemies will come from his own what? Family. So the sword Jesus Christ brought is actually a sword that will be used against those who are going to follow him. And not a sword that his followers are going to use against unbelievers. I didn't bring peace, but sword. Sword against who? And to be used by who? Sword against Christians or followers of Christ. And this sword will be used against them by the unbeliever because of their allegiance to what? Christ. You want to become a Christian? Okay, then I'll persecute you. And all over the world, Christians are suffering because of their faith and because of their following of what? Christ. So the sword of Jesus in Matthew chapter 10, verse number 33 is not a sword to be used against Christians, to be used by Christians, but a sword to be used against Christians.
So Jesus,
as you see all over the world.
So Jesus prophesies that Christians are going to be persecuted.
So if you read John 16 verse 1 and 2, John 16 verse number 1 and 2.
Verse 1 and 2 says that these things I have spoken to you, that you should not be made to stumble. They will put you out of the synagogues. Yes, the time is coming that whoever kills you will think that he offers God service.
A time is coming that anyone that kills you, my followers, will think that a person is offering service to God. And you see ISIS beheading Christians. Allahu Akbar. Then they behead people. Allahu Akbar. Then they behead them. They think they are killing infidels, kafirs, unholy people. Christians who are worshiping a prophet, who are worshiping, who have added a partner to God. So they kill Christians, and the Muslims think by killing these infidels, they are offering service to Allah. And we see this all over the world, not in Nigeria. Boko Haram attacking Christian villages, killing Christians. A lot of thousands of Christian churches have been burned to ashes. Burkina Faso, Mali,
and okay. So basically, the passage is not talking about Christians taking sword to fight.
yes,
But the passage is telling Christians that if you want to follow Christ, then these are the things you're going to go through.
yes.
I see.
Your parents, your families are going to all wage war against you.
Against you.
They are going to deprive you of certain privileges. Your parent, your mother, your son, your daughter.
If you want to go and worship in Christianity, then you will forfeit these rights,
all
these
things.
benefits.
Yes. So
Oh, I see.
Muslims are actually taking passage out of what?
Contest.
And there's actually one passage in Luke where they also claim Jesus asked the disciples to buy sword. I think in another time we will find time.
Well-
in another episode.
Now, what will be your response to that?
That statement of Jesus is also taken out of context. Jesus actually was not speaking of physical sword, that the disciples should go and buy physical sword to defend themselves. No, it's also taken out of context, unless maybe we read that passage.
I see.
Luke.
So the whole concept of warfare
Because on the ninth of his on the ninth
that he was
arrested by the enemies.
Peter took the sword, cut the ears of Malchus, and Jesus,
Jesus
healed
condemned
him.
in
Yes.
Matthew 26 verse 52.
Yes.
Put your sword at its place. All those who take the sword will also perish by the sword.
So he cannot contradict.
In the context of all this, you see that Muslims are desperately searching for passages where Jesus acted like Muhammad, as in commanding people to fight. Jesus never legislated jihad, Christian jihad. Christians don't have any jihad here on earth. Our jihad is spiritual, not against flesh and blood, but against the spiritual forces in this world, and also by pulling down teachings, argument, polemics that seeks to contest the Christian teachings. And that is exactly what we are doing here on Apologetic. And it's our prayer that these lessons will actually motivate you to give your life to Jesus Christ, so that you also experience this love of Christ. The love that teaches you to love all people. As Jesus said in Matthew chapter 5, verse number 44. I love that passage so much. Matthew 5, verse number 45. This is what Jesus Christ, 44 to 45, he says, 44. But I say to you, love your enemies, bless those who curse you, do good to those who hate you, and pray for those who spitefully use you and persecute you. No other world religion has gotten this message.
And then he says, verse 45.
No other world religion teaches people to love their enemies, do good to them, and even pray for them. Only the Christian gospel. So, my dear Muslim, kindly avail yourself of this message. For this love of God to be put into your heart by His Spirit. By you accepting the fact that Jesus is the Son of God. He died on a cross for your salvation. Run away from your evil deeds and giving yourself to Jesus Christ, finally in baptism, for Jesus to reign in your heart and becoming part of the church of Christ, or the community of God's people. We invite you, we love you. Our intention is not to hate you, but truth sometimes hurts. So kindly consider giving your life to Jesus Christ. Thank you.
in Matthew chapter 5, verse 45 and the verse 46 says that, the verse 44 talks about loving your enemies. It says that, but I say to you, love your enemies, bless those who curse you, do good to those who hate you, and pray for those who spitefully use you and persecute you. Verse 45 says that you may be sons of your God, of your Father in heaven, for he makes his sun rise on the evil and on the good, and sends rain on the just and the unjust. For if you love those who love you, what reward have you? Do not even the tax collectors do the same? And so from this passage, Jesus is teaching that we are not supposed to love only those who love you, but love those who hate you, those who persecute you, those who do things that are wrong to you.
Yeah, and even the Quran confirms Christians to be peace-loving people. If you read the Quran says that the nearest in love to the Muslims are those who call themselves Christians. Yes, the Quran teaches that Christians are peace-loving people. So all Christians should, if you're a Christian, you have to love the Muslims or any unbeliever.
Yeah.
So we have to love Muslims because we are Christians. Amen.
Good. This is where we draw the curtains. Today's discussion has been a twist in a way. It has changed the format. We need to know some of the things that have happened in the past about Islam and about their belief and all that, and what the Quran actually teaches. And so when we go deep into some of these things, you see that this is the time for you to make a decision as a Muslim that, hey, there is a chance that you can love your enemy. There is a chance that you can stay peacefully with your enemy. There is a chance that you can still pray for your enemy. And that is when you become a Christian. That is when you offer yourself to Christ and surrender to him through baptism so that you become a member of the Church of Christ. Brother Dominic Amponsa is a minister of the gospel and a Christian apologist. He has been my guest on this show. My name is Shadrach Opon. This program is Apologetic Hour on Charo TV, and it comes your way every Thursday. And so thank you so much for watching, and we'll be back next week as we go deep into some of the things that you need to know. So we'll meet again. I say be safe, stay cool, continue to love your enemy, and then continue to pray for those who do not like you. Peace. Shalom. Bye-bye.